Watch part 1 before continuing listening to this part. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll begin with the parable. You are John, and you visit your buddy, Paul. Paul is tanned. He's not really black, but he's tanned, and he has some, as they call it, Negro features. Big lips, an intense look also, but his skin is relatively light. So one day you visit his parents with him. He wants to introduce you to his parents. So you're there and you see his mother. Then you think, huh? This woman has red hair, green eyes. Okay. You hear that she's Scottish. And then think, okay, that means that the father must be either from West Africa or he's a Caribbean black, or he's a Afro-American, or an Afro-Latino, or he's what they call a mulatto. You expected that. But then you see the father, and he is a blonde dude with blue eyes. He looks very Scandinavian. Then you think, huh? You're in a very big shock. Because your brain reveals to you that this situation ain't right. You see clearly that there's a scam going on here. But the father as well as the mother, both parents claim it's their kid that they brought forth together. And the quote-unquote father of this Paul truly believes is his son. While you can obviously see that something's wrong with the situation. But then you think about it the other way. That means, let's say after the visit, you, John, are at home, and you realize that the situation's worse. Because this Paul should be able to see, when he looks in the mirror, that he looks nothing alike his quote-unquote biological dad. And Paul never mentioned he was adopted. If he was adopted, it would be obvious, but you think, hold on a minute. So this woman gave birth to this baby. And it's obvious the baby doesn't look anything alike her husband, yet everyone around says it's their child. So you think about the possibilities. Either they are lying, or they are tricked. They just can't see what's going on. But then you realize, hold on a minute. This can't be true. Neither of these two options can be correct. Because that woman gave birth to that baby. So it's her baby. So she knows very well that it's not the child of her husband. That means she knows very well what's going on. That means she's lying. And the husband, at the other hand, doesn't want to face the truth. So he is complying with the hoax, so that he doesn't have to face anything. And then you have Paul himself, who may sense something's wrong, but he ignores it. So he's also complying with the hoax. So you realize that the whole family is one big hoax. And then you reconsider whether you want to remain in contact with Paul. Because you realize that if Paul is participating in a hoax, it's obvious a hoax, that means that sooner or later it will backfire. And you will likely be drawn into this hoax. And you don't want to be part of it. Now, that was the parable. Now, if this Paul would have European features, but he still wouldn't look anything like his quote-unquote father, then you may think, this man is just tricked thinking it's his son because he looks European just like him. But now, because not only doesn't the son look anything like him, but the son also has features he nor his ancestors have, you see clearly that this man is not really a victim anymore. He is participating in his hoax because he doesn't want to face that he was victimized, that he was cheated on. So he has an investment in the hoax. That's the difference. So, okay, when it comes to the human population, when it comes to hoaxing, there are two groups. There are genuine victims who are trapped. They can't know any better. You have them of all ages, especially of younger ages, but you have them of all ages. But then you also have people who are enabling the hoax because they are invested in it. They may not be aware what the hoax is, but they sense that something doesn't add up, but they don't want to look into it. And from the people who are enablers, there's a small portion who knows exactly what's going on, and they willfully perpetrate it. So you have the enablers, and you have those that are scammed. The enablers were also scammed, but they're participating in their own victimization. And to relieve themselves from what they are doing, they will target anyone that even mentions that something is wrong. That's the fact about the human population at the moment. That's the fact of how the human population has been for hundreds and even thousands of years. Folks are invested in what society offers onto them. On one hand, it's understandable because you want to participate in the community. On the other hand, when your natural senses, when your natural instincts show you that something is amiss, you shouldn't ignore it. Society has conditioned people to ignore their natural instincts. Even if you have been conditioned to ignore your natural instincts, it doesn't mean that your natural instincts are gone. They're still part of your human nature, so they will still work. So when your natural instincts scream at you that something is amiss, you should take responsibility and pay attention to it. Look, if you've been walking all day and suddenly your stomach goes crazy that it needs food, you need to pay attention to it, or else you are endangering yourself. The same way, when your natural instincts scream at you that something's amiss, it's your responsibility to give heed to it, to check out what's going on. And what this has to do with pathological liars? A pathological liar, I'm not talking about those that are lost in their delusions. I'm talking about those sociopaths, or psychopaths, if you want to call them, but I prefer sociopaths. I'm talking about those sociopaths who know very well that it's just a hoax, but they're using it on the population for their advantage, or the rulers of this world. The rulers of this world know very well how the human population is in general. Not in absolute sense, but in general, they know how common people operate. They know that common people don't want to face things. So they come with scams that require the investment of common people. You can scam someone, an individual is totally clueless they are scammed. That happens every day. You purchase a flat screen TV, but flat screen TV never comes. And the one that sold it to you keeps coming up with excuses. In this case, you were hoaxed completely. Okay? It's not your fault. You couldn't do anything about it. So such things happen. But if you want to scam a whole population and you want the scam to endure for a while, there needs to be investment from the part of those that are scammed. And the pagan rulers of this world, they know very well that common people don't want to admit their own contribution to what's wrong. Because that means they need to examine themselves, they need to face things, and it means they need to take action. And common people don't want that, just want to be relieved, they want to be left alone. That's why the pathological liars that rule this world get away with what they're doing. That's how it works. Why is it important to notice this? Because once you notice once you know this, you'll understand why it matters to see through deception. Okay, about the parable I gave at the beginning of that family, about Paul's parents. If the truth comes out openly that Paul is not the child of that husband, it should have been obvious already though to the looks, but Let's pretend as if nobody notices the color difference in Paul. Once it comes out, the wife has some explanation to do, because that would mean that the husband has been scammed for at least 2 decades, thinking it's his child while it isn't his. So for 2 decades he thought he had an offspring while he doesn't have an offspring, and he can't go back in time, divorce that wife of his, and marry someone else and have an offspring. So he has been robbed. Not only that, that wife lied to everyone, relatives, family-in-law, also the people that knew them as a couple and as a family. She lied to everyone. But when it comes out that the husband had suspicion but didn't look into it, he participated in it. So in this case, both the mother as the quote-unquote father lied to the son. And let's say that the son now realizes that he has been lied to his whole life. This is a huge psychological shock. Okay? And this situation may even turn violent. It may even escalate. Or let's take another scenario. I'm going to give another parable now. You have a disease that broke out. And people went to the authorities for help. And the authorities offered a medicine. And people took the medicine. But then someone noticed 10 years later that all the children who took this medicine now have health issues. And those that parents had failed to give the children the medicine that was prescribed, they're relatively well. And then someone figures out, hold on a minute, but as diseases broke out, only 4 people died. It wasn't an epidemic. Yet there was this whole hysteria throughout the country that, oh, people need to take a medicine because there's a disease that broke out. So then you begin to realize that, hold on a minute, these people are scammed. But you realize if you reveal this, that the folks are scammed, they need to face that the parents complied with poisoning their own kids. And that their kids, means their offspring, are now dealing with the consequences. That means that the children will realize that their parents were so naive that they didn't look beyond anything, and that the parents unknowingly endangered them. Then those grown children need to face this. And most likely many don't want to face it, so they will take all this frustration on someone else. So now you have an increase of violence in the community, and now that community may collapse due to violence. So you realize that when the truth comes out, it will turn out ugly. So you keep your mouth shut. But once in a while, you give people some subtle hints that something is wrong, in the hope that people will catch what's happening. In this case, it would matter a lot when the truth comes out. It will change that community forever, and probably not for the better. So don't let anyone tell you that it doesn't matter when you see through deception. Even if deception is a very small one, with a very minimum impact, if you have a deception that's small and impact is little, it still had an impact. And that impact still affected how things operate today. So seeing through the deception seeing through it will matter. Well, this was part 2. I'm going to make a part 3 soon. Just realize that it matters when you see through deception. Well, that's it for now. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.